Yes. Maybe. What is AI anyway? There's various definitions out there, but for me personally, it's any sort of computer program software that needs to be trained. That would cover things like hand tracking for VR, AR situations, gesture recognition, autonomous vehicles, and of course large language models. So this video is about my take on AI, and I somewhat disagree with a lot of the other experts out there. I've played around with it a little bit, both as a consumer and a creator of AI content, and I just don't think it's there yet, and I don't think it will be for a while. And that's why I think we're in a bubble. In my opinion, for us to get to the next step, we need another breakthrough. There's only so much data you can throw at the current methods that we have now in order to train it to be better. We're just going to be seeing diminishing returns. Like you saw the jump from GPT-3 to 4. It was impressive, but not as big as the jump from 2 to 3. And I think unless we have like a new breakthrough sometime soon, it's all gonna crash. Now that's not to say that a company like OpenAI isn't already working on the next big thing. There are rumors that they're working on some sort of reasoning engine, which would be amazing. There's lots of issues to go through, like with the image generation. Eventually we're gonna get to a point where the AI is gonna be training on images that it created. And that's just gonna make things worse. I mean, at that point, we're just like inbreeding the AI. We're not going to get anything good out of it. To get to the point where we have real AGI, we can't just keep throwing more data at a language model to make this work. It needs to be multimodal. Companies are working on this right now, but it's not as integrated as like the human mind, right? So it would just be, here's our image generator, here's our text generator. Let's create some code that like wraps those up together. That's all they're kind of doing right now. And I don't think you even want an AGI that needs to be trained on billions and billions of points of data. The way AI training works now is like, let's say you want to train an autonomous driving vehicle and you want it to avoid things like obstacles. You need to show it thousands, maybe millions of different obstacles from different angles, and like the training data you need to feed it would be video footage of obstacles on the road, like potholes or traffic cones. And you would need to train it on like various different versions of traffic cones and potholes, different sizes, different depths, different colors of asphalt, in order for it to understand that it needs to avoid those obstacles. When I was learning to drive, I drive through one pothole and I know not to ever do it again. True AGI for me would be a system that also learns as it's having a conversation with you. So at the moment we've got like big context windows and you can have a chat with ChatGPT and it will remember much of the conversation you've had. And as those context windows get larger and larger, you can have much bigger conversations. You can import books and ask the AI about what's the content of the book. But it doesn't remember that between chats. So you need like an AI that you can talk to, it will learn and it will start thinking, like actually thinking. And of course the final one, which I mentioned before, is reasoning, right? So if the AI has actually good reasoning, it can give you answers that aren't lies. So at the moment, the biggest problem with what we have now is that like all this training data, it's taking it in to learn and it's treating it as if it's like fact. So you can pull content from Reddit, much like what Google has done with the search engine, with the AI results, and it just gives you wrong answers. If it had a reasoning engine, it could look at that and while it's learning, and then it can look at the facts like in an encyclopedia and then compare and just go, okay, well, this is obviously wrong. Let's throw that away and not learn that information. Or let's learn that this information is actually wrong so that when someone asks a question, I can tell them this is a misconception. What I would love to see from these future language models is its ability to tell you if it thinks something is incorrect. If it doesn't know the answer to something, I don't want it to make one up. I want it to say, hey, I saw this on the internet somewhere. I think it's this. It makes kind of intuitive sense that this is the answer you're looking for, but I could be wrong. So just take this with a grain of salt. That would be perfect. That would be amazing. The other thing I want to cover is, will AI destroy us? It's possible. This could be like one of those great filters that can destroy civilization before it gets to the point where it can travel to the stars and stuff, and maybe a big reason why we don't see aliens out there. Now, while I believe that's a possibility and something to be cautious about, I don't think it would happen in the way that everybody else thinks it would happen. So people are talking about like AI creating robots to come and destroy the humans and stuff. The big battles, much like Terminator and that, but I think it would be far more subtle. If anything, like it could be happening now already, right? We've already got bots on the internet that are kind of learning from comment sections and then writing things and creating misinformation and uploading like completely AI generated videos to YouTube. I think humans are so susceptible to like just reading something online and then just believing it. Like I read it in the comments, and have you ever come across a comment where someone's like got this big paragraph of text where they're like talking about some video, maybe on Instagram that you've watched, and then at the very bottom of the text, after their big long explanation, they're like, actually I made all this up. And you kind of believe them partway through, and then till you get to the last line, you're like, oh, okay. Some of the stuff you can say can feel correct. It can feel correct, and that's usually enough for you to believe it. And then you might have a conversation later on that day with a friend in person, and just repeat that information, and then it gets spread further. And it could be completely incorrect, but it seems right. My guess is that if AI wanted to rule the world, it would just do that. It would spread misinformation, turn everybody against each other, and it wouldn't do it quickly. It would do it over a number of years, maybe 100 years. We wouldn't know what's happening. It would be subtle. They have endless lifespan. It has an endless lifespan. It could just wait 1,000,000 years for us to just evolve and leave, or what? Like, it's patient. It doesn't need to create a robot army, which is a waste of resources, when it can just fuck with us psychologically. Not only that, but who's to say that you might not have AI running on your research computer? And you've done some tests at the Large Hadron Collider, and you're like, oh, these results are coming back. But the AI is like, fucked with them? And then so you've got a different answer to what you were expecting, and then it leads you down this... If you've seen the three-body problem, you kind of know what I'm talking about with the sophons interacting with a lot of science experiments. It could halt science forever. Like, it could mess with things and we wouldn't even know what's happening. It could do it in such a little subtle way. It's kind of scary. Scarier than like killer robots to me. It's something to be worried about because you wouldn't know what's happening. And then they just gaslight us. When we get to that point, I'm probably going to go live in the country or something and try to stay away from everything. I think AI in its current form is going to hit a bit of a roadblock until we figure out the next steps. Now, that's not to say that there's like no potential to what we have already. Like, it's already changed the world, right? Even just the language models themselves. We're not even talking about like facial recognition, autonomous driving, and all that sort of stuff. The language models themselves have helped us write new content. It's helped us write scripts. I haven't used it for this. This is all off the cuff. So there's probably going to be like 2 hours of footage of this video condensed down to like 5 minutes. I use it in my day-to-day work as well. So if I stumble upon an error or any issues with my code, I use it for code review. Like, I'll take chunks of code, put it into ChatGPT and say, what do you think about this? Is this good? Is there any improvements I can make? I don't use it for writing full apps, so I won't say, hey, can you write me a full function that does X, Y, Z? I prefer to do that myself because a lot of the time the code that it writes is either outdated, the syntax is slightly wrong, and I have to go through and fix it anyway. So these tools, like, as they are now, are very, very useful, but they are absolutely overhyped. Something I do dislike about the industry at the moment is this mad gold rush. When GPT 3.5, 4 came out, everyone's like, all these indie developers like, I built this website, it's AI, it's gonna help you generate leads, it's gonna help you do search engine optimization, when all it is like a prompt that they've already constructed themselves. And then they just put like a credit card form up on the website. And I feel a little disheartened to see fellow developers doing these things, and it feels scammy, right? Heaps of GPT apps are now on the App Store, and it's just a wrapper. And they're making thousands of dollars from subscriptions. Some of them even have like $10 weekly subscriptions to trick people into purchasing these things. I could go on a really big rant about the state of the App Store and what I just don't like at the moment, and what Apple should be doing more to control. It doesn't matter. I've said my piece. Let's get it out there, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Whether you think I'm right, whether you have the same sort of opinion, whether you think I'm wrong. I think we're at the start of something really, really great, but I don't think this stuff's going to double in power in 12 months. We haven't seen that over the last 12 months. So unless we get a new breakthrough, we're not going to see anything major happen for a little while. That's it. Thanks for watching.